Welcome back, Scorpions. In this video, we'll be looking at some common operations that can be performed using Python. And in this case, we'll be using the Python IDLE. And to open your IDLE, you can simply go to the search box or the search area in your PC and type in Python IDLE. Mine is already started up, so I'll just flash it back up on, and then we can be able to start off. So Python is able to recognize mathematical operations like additions, subtractions, and multiplication. So when you have an addition like that, 7 plus 7 should be able to give us 14, and then we have 6 by 6, we should be able to have 36, and then you have a number like 9 divided by 3 should be able to give us 3.0. But when dealing with mathematical operations and specifically on divisions, if you don't want the floating point value or the decimal point value in it, then you perform what is called as a floor division. So a floor division is written this way in Python. You have the double slash there, and then you make your 3 over there, so that you only have 3. You're only able to get an integer output of your division and not a decimal point output of your division. So another way we can be able to use to perform mathematical operations using Python is when we want to get the remainder of our divisions. So when you have a number like 5 divided by 2, you know the remainder is 1. So to get a remainder of 5 divided by 2, we perform a modulus operation. So the percentage sign, that's a modulus sign in Python. So we'll have Python modulo 2. So Python modulo 2 will be able to give us 1. So that gives you an output of the remainder of your division in a particular number. You are also able to get the squares and roots of certain numbers, of all the numbers, and you're able to do that. So like when you have 4 squared is written this way, so 4 squared should be able to give us 16. So when you have a number like 25, sorry brother, when you have a number like 25 squared, you get 625. And how about a cube of 25? So you get 25 cube of that should be able to give us 15,625. So that's just the basic of some mathematical operations that can be performed using Python. And we also have some string operations that can be performed using Python. So a Python recognizes strings in quotation marks. So when you have a quotation mark, like for example the channel name Scorpion, so that is a string in Python and it is written in quotation marks. So a Scorpion like that, and the output is just Scorpion. So if you wanted to know the type of that string, you just use the function known as type in Python, and then you type in your string, then let's see. So it gives us an output of class string. So we know that this one here is a string. It is just like when you have a type of any number, like say 3. So the type of 3 is class integer. So it means whatever we have in our bracket here is integer, and a function is just a set of tasks to be performed using a program. So the type function is able to tell us the type that we have in the types of various values that we have in Python. So back to string operations. So a single string is known as a string literal in Python. So when you have 2 string literals, you actually can combine 2 strings. So an example is when you have Scorpion and plus cyclone, scorpion plus cyclone should give you an output of scorpion cyclone. So two strings combined through a process known as concatenation. So concatenation is simply combining or adding two strings together. That is known as concatenation of strings. We'll be able to look at more string operations when we look at data structures in Python. But for this introductory course, we have strings, and single strings are referred to as string literals. So when you have two string literals combined together, you get what is you're performing an operation that is known as concatenation. So scorpion plus cyclone, but we have here the two strings are combined with no space. If we needed a space between the two strings, then you include a space after the N in scorpion and before the last quotation mark. So that would be something like this one. So you introduce a space there, and when you introduce a space in that manner, you are able to get this output. So we have an output of scorpion and cyclone. There is a space. You note this difference and that one. This one is just one word, one sentence. The two strings combined together with no space in them. So to introduce a space between two strings, you introduce a space before the last quotation mark and before the last letter, so that when you introduce the addition sign, you are able to get two separate values. So when we have strings with quotation marks, you know very well Python identifies strings with quotation marks. So if you have a string, like in a sentence where you have let's say we have a sentence like grievance, okay. So let's say you have a sentence like grieving laptop. Well, you don't need to worry, none of it makes sense, but for purposes of demonstration you understand. So when you have a string with quotation marks in between, still Python is able to give us an output with the desired quotation mark. So like that, we have grieving laptop in quotation mark. How about you had laptop in single quotation mark? If you have laptop in single quotation mark, then the quotation marks you used to identify the string in Python must now be double quotation mark. And denoting a new line in Python, you use a \n to denote a new line in Python. And so to denote a new line in Python, like when we have a string, in this case we have let's just stick to grieving laptop. What is not happening? When you have that string and you want to introduce a new line in it, if you just have it on the prompt in this manner, then it will still be able to print with n, and that is because you don't use, you see, we still have the output with that n. But when we want to introduce a new line, we can use the print function. Where now the print function will now be able to introduce a new line. So we have grieving, then new line, and then we have laptop. So the two strings appear in separate lines. So denoting a new line in Python, we have a number like n. So how about you had if you had a value like you needed to print this string where you have C colon, then we have a backspace, then let's say something like files, then you have then you have nowhere, then you have nowhere, and then we close that string, and then we print. So when you have this, it prints, actually it prints, but it Python recognizes n as a method telling it, like, you know what, Python, this one means you introduce a new line. So it introduces a new line and then separates now C, files, and nowhere as where. Now we get this result. Now if we wanted this entire string on a single line, we use what is known as a row string. And to get a row string, you simply introduce or denote a row string with R in lowercase before the string that you want Python to recognize as a row string. And when you print that, you are able now to get an output of the same with everything in one line. So the exercise to mark the end of this lesson would be, it's a wrap from me here, and see you in the next video.